Congrats! You have got selected into a medical college, and after 5.5 years you are going to be a doctor. How amazing is that, right? But before starting the journey, as you guys know, that first year is the stepping stone and you have to choose the right books for you. So here I am to tell you about more which books you should buy and which you should not, you should never. And I have made the same mistake, so you don't have to spend your hard-earned thousands on many books that you really don't need. So without any further ado, let's start. Well, I'm Unmesh, a third year MBBS student, and here I am to present you all the books that you need and all the other guidances that you should get from a senior. So in the first year, you are going to have 3 subjects: anatomy, physiology and biochemistry. All these subjects are differentiated into many kind of subgroups, but I'll get into that later. But across the 3 subjects, you will get to have main 3 basic types of book, like the gold standard books, that is the BAP of the BAP books, and the Indian author books, which is adapted or excerpted from the gold standard books, and it is Indianized to make you feel better, to make you understand better. Lastly, the chotha we say in Bangla. So you have to get it to pass the university exams. Let's talk about anatomy first. In anatomy, there are various sub-subjects actually. That is gross, that is neuro and histology. In dissector, you can have other atlases, you can have clinical subjects and all these things. In anatomy, you can also have gold standard, you will have the Indianized author, and lastly the short version of the book, that is the review books, right? So in gold standard of gross, you can have Gray's. I don't recommend buying it, just to show you. I had bought it and I regret it actually, because it's like 4,000 at that. I had BD Chaurasia. This is one of the most popular books. Probably you guys are studying these books as well, right, in university. If you are not studying this book, then you will be having the Visram Singh books that in our university we used to follow. See, I studied these books, but I also use BD Chaurasia as references in some topics like maxilla and all these things. In head and neck portion, actually, BD Chaurasia is good, actually better than Visram Singh in my opinion. Obviously, opinion varies from person to person, right? So these are Indian author books. This is the book of histology. This is by IB Singh. Every Indian university recommends this book, and you will also have to study this book actually, right? Then you will have embryology. This is by I guess IB Singh, Indraveer Singh. But after studying this, I'll recommend you to buy Visram Singh's embryology. This is a gem of the book. Actually, I have studied this one also and this one also, but ultimately I had to stick to Visram Singh, right? So it's up to your personal choice. Just consult with one of your seniors that what he used to study or what he or she does suggest, right? So these are the mota topics of anatomy. Other than this, for dissection, you have to have manuals. As dissector manual, you will have this Rachel Coach's 2 volume of books, right? So you mostly don't need this, but yeah, I was so much enthusiastic about studying anatomy that I anyway bought it, right? And also another sets of book by A.K. Datta. This is the gem of a book. Actually, you need to study the abdomen part at least from A.K. Datta. I'll highly recommend you to study from that. You can have all the PDF versions of this book. You have to find, obviously, but you can study it from there. You don't have to buy this kind of bulky book. And next, neuroanatomy. Again, there are 2 kind of books, like the gold standard, that is the Snell's neuroanatomy, right? Obviously, you don't need to study this. I bought it because one of my seniors told me कि इसमें बहुत अच्छा रहता है, बहुत अच्छा diagrams रहता है. That is true actually, but you won't understand very much in the first year, so you don't have to buy it from my personal recommendation. You just go by the Visram Singh's neuroanatomy. That is more than enough. I'll just show you. This was a neuroanatomy book, and in neuroanatomy you just have to study selected topics, right? Because you really don't understand what is going inside your brain in first year only. You have to study a lot to understand actually. So this wraps up the neuro. What did you miss? Clinical anatomy. In clinical anatomy, again, Visram Singh's this book. This seems very small book. This is highly useful actually, building your concept stronger actually. So this is a must-have. I'll recommend to buy it as a physical copy. Don't go for any kind of PDFs or any kind of digitalized form, right? So then comes embryology. Langman's embryology is the gold standard. I have this, and the embryology I have shown you the Vishram Singhs that I have studied. Then you will have the part of osteology. You have to buy a separate book, because in any kind of book you cannot get a clear picture of what is inside the bone or how it presents the topography of bone, right? So you can have this IB Singh's osteology. Best, I'd say that Shomar Mitra. This is a very good book. I think that wraps up for anatomy. So if you want my personal recommendation, I'll say that go for the Vishram Singh, as I have studied that, but keep all the other books as a digitalized format. So for gross anatomy, go for Vishram Singh. For neuroanatomy, again go for Vishram Singh. For clinical, go for Vishram Singh. Again, you have to have an atlas. Atlas is a book that, how can I say? Atlas is the image book basically, okay? You will have all the organs, all the cranial things and all these things. Basically, whole body is dissected into a plate and just shown to you, right? This is an atlas, as you guys know. So have an atlas, very good atlas. I recommend Nater's. Many buy Thymes, go for Nater's atlas if you ask me, right? So yeah, the final recommendation is for gross, you will have to buy BD Chaurasia or Vishram Singh. For clinical, again Vishram Singh. Neuroanatomy, Vishram Singh. For embryology, again go for Vishram Singh. Histology, IB Singh is good. And don't go to buy any kind of dissector or dissection books right now. You will have those Telegram groups where you can easily access all those books. So this wraps up all the anatomy books. Now let's move on to physiology. In physiology, you will have two kind of books. One is the normal theory book and other is the practical book. The last one you can have a review book that I'll explain later. So in theory, you will have two gold standards normally. That is the Guyton must study book actually, this one, and other one is Ganong. So in Guyton, this is very much well explained. Every concepts are very much well explained. But in Ganong, the graphs are really good. Like this kind of pictures and other this and flow charts, those are very well written in Ganong. So if you want to make a good notes of physiology, you can use Guyton as reference. This will be your main book, and from Ganong you will excerpt the charts only and the flow charts, right? Just go for the flow charts in Ganong. So these are the gold standard books. Other than that, the Indian author books are, we used to study DP, Devasis Pramani. Most of the other people, AK Jain or Sembulingam, they study. Those are very good book. Personally, I have studied this one and the DP. Actually, the previous versions of DP, because it is a very small book actually, shorter version of Guyton. So it was very much aligned. So these are the main theory books, and obviously you will have to have practical books. In physiology practical, there are various concepts that need to be crystal clear, because if you don't do that, you cannot answer in into Viva and you cannot perform it well. So I'll recommend to buy Guy's practical physiology book. This is a very good book actually, and I have studied it from cover to cover. It helps you not in this first year, but in other practicals also. It will make your understanding of physiology in a very better way. And the last book that I always say, this is the review book. The whole book is concise in this much. Before exam, you can study this and review your preparation. In physiology, my recommendation will be you buy one standard textbook like Sembulingam or Ekejan, whatever you might like, and buy Guyton and just buy this one, this practical physiology book, and you will get to know all the concepts behind it. So I highly recommend to study this book at least once in your life. Understand the clinical practices when you are going to be a doctor. This is for physiology, and now let's move on to biochemistry. In biochemistry, again you will have theory book and practical books, but practical books are not so much important because there are limited amount of tests that you need to perform, limited amount of examinations that you need to perform in biochemistry. There are urine test where you have to examine for sugar, you have to examine for protein and all these things. You will get the PDF anywhere from your college. And the main textbooks that you should study, there are again kind of gold standard and Indianized version. So gold standard is Lippincott, Harper, all this. So let me show you one. This is the Lippincott's book. So I don't know the newer version, but this was the latest at my time. So in Lippincott, the enzyme is very much well written. The chapter of oxidation is very well written here. There are very good flow charts, like I said in Ganong, as in physiology. And if you want the whole package, you can go for Muhammad Rafi. I used to study this, but most of my friends They used to study Vasudevan. That is also a great book. I also have that one, but I don't have it. Yeah, I have it with me right now. This one. So Vasudevan, all the other students studied, and I, along with some other students, used to study Rafi. Main difference between Vasudevan and Rafi are, this is very much, simple language. The language are very much lucid. You don't need to understand, you don't need to have a very higher level of understanding of English. Rafi is very much structured. In Vasudevan, it is also structured, but not as much as Rafi is, right? So I chose Rafi because I studied Vasudevan, I didn't like that. Then I shifted to it. Okay, so these are the books, and I had a review book of Rebecca ma'am. She teaches in Maru, as you can know, obviously. So Rebecca ma'am compiled this book. Here in this book, you can have the concepts of all the important topics in a very crisp format. You will have many MCQs to solve, to test yourself before the exam, right? So these are the books. In practical, I don't recommend anything. We used to have a PDF of Pallab Basu, and one other book I'll recommend. I don't have it right now because maybe one of my juniors have borrowed it from me, right? So the book was of clinical cases. So you will have clinical cases in your table viva in biochem. So you have to study those. There are G6PD deficiency, you will have homocystinuria, you will have various cases of diabetes, you will have various kinds of liver disease, the symptoms and syndromes, the hallmarks of disease, ALP, AST ratios, SGOT, SGPT ratios, and all other examinations point of view. The questions are framed like you are becoming a doctor. So the patient will present you like, Doctor साहब मेरे पेट में ऐसा दर्द हो रहा है, and this is my result, this is my report. So after studying or after assessing the report, you have to make a diagnosis. So in that book, questions are formed in that format only, like the patient is coming with a complaint, right? So please have that book, at least have a PDF of that book with you. So these are the all books. In Biochem, I'll recommend just go for Vasudevan or Rafi, whatever you might like. My choice is Rafi because I studied from there, but you might go for Vasudevan if your seniors suggest. Don't go for any kind of standard textbook because again, biochemistry utna koi nahi padta. Yeah, that's all. And the last part, I wanted to convey all the books that I have told. You don't need to buy everything. Don't try to buy everything at once. Buy one tab. That will be a game changer for you and your preparation. If you want to buy 5 gold standard books, it will cost you around 20 to 25,000. You can easily buy a tab from that money, and that will stay with you forever. Like in my tab, I have all the notes that I have taken from the first year, and I have saved it inside it. In my cases, I have made a separate folder in my tab, and I have saved all the important things like anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, all the important things, notes and previous year questions. Those things I have saved in the tab, so I can study wherever I want, whenever I want, and it will stay with you forever. So you don't have to carry all the books always. So I'll highly recommend to buy you any kind of tab. It might be an Apple, it might be an Android tab. Invest in it and it will be a game changer for you. And this is everything you need to know about the first year books. Remember one thing, don't feel pressurized by anyone that he is going to buy that book or he has that book, so you have to buy that one. You really don't need to, because at the end of the day, before the exam, you cannot revise a 1500 page book. You need to have a concise note. So obviously make your notes. It doesn't matter from where you study. The contents are more or less the same. You just need to believe that this is good and just stick to one resource. This is the ultimate suggestion from my side. So if you found this guide helpful, please leave a comment and subscribe and drop the comments below. If you are a grey person or a BTC person, meet you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.